Beyond the Looking Glass, a photographic journey through Gryphonia. Around 260 million years ago, the descendants of Predacorax embarked on a divergent path, resulting in the emergence of a novel clade known as the Hexasaurias. This group of newcomers arrived with vigor, effectively displacing the former dominant species and introducing a fresh array of evolutionary innovations. Among these was Pseudostega triangularis, a unique herbivore characterized by its large, triangular bone plates extending from its spine. Reminiscent of the Stegosaurus, this creature boasted 6 legs and lacked the iconic cluster of spikes, known as thagomizers, that adorned the tails of its stegosaurid counterpart. The Pseudostega, along with its subsequent evolutionary offspring, managed to thrive for an extended period, enduring until the nascent stages of the Draconian age. Alas, as the world unfurled new challenges and unforeseen dangers, Pseudostega's once effective defenses proved to be a mismatch against the formidable adversaries that marked this age. While bone plates and armor can fend off the conventional weaponry of teeth and claws, they find themselves outmatched when confronted by the blazing fury of a dragon's fiery breath. Cornubentis frontimanus was a large herbivore adorned with bony spikes on its back and substantial antlers on its head, resembling thick and bifurcated horns. Most likely, these antlers were employed when challenging rivals or warding off predators. However, these remarkable features are not its only distinctions. Unlike its cousins mentioned previously, this creature moved on only 4 of its legs, with the front pair of limbs evolved into arms with primitive hands. These ungainly-looking creatures likely utilized these arms to secure their stance during mating, yet their length and position suggest a potential role in food gathering as well. Unlike the previous example from the Hexasaurias clade, Cornubentis' adaptability proved an equal match to the power of the Draconians. Instead of direct confrontation or a retreat to the ocean, it underwent a size reduction, evolving into rodent-like burrowers and forest dwellers. Concealing themselves within leafy forests and rocky caverns, they patiently endured the draconian rain until safety returned. Emerging once more, they increased in size and further diversified, now coexisting with the Gryphoforms in the world. Do not fret, for you will see more of these in a later chapter. Cornubentis frontimanus may have roamed on 4 legs with 2 adapted arms, but Quadrumanus rex chose the opposite evolutionary path. Walking on 2 legs, it possessed 4 powerful arms, each armed with slashing, razor-sharp claws. Similar to the iconic Tyrannosaurus rex, Quadrumanus rex differed in its fully developed, robust arms capable of grasping and rending prey, complemented by its large, knife-like teeth. This creature claimed the throne in the Hexasaurias clade, reigning supreme. There has long been debate within paleontology circles about whether Q. rex was truly a predator or if its ripping claws were more for dismembering carrion. The 4 arms undoubtedly made it top-heavy, and running may have proven difficult. However, it's always possible that they stalked their prey slowly, wearing them out much like early Homo sapiens did. However, beyond its distinctive form and undeniable might, Quadrumanus rex holds profound importance in our narrative. It stands as the ancestral figure whose lineage ultimately ushered in class Draconia. It took just a single, unprecedented evolutionary twist to set them on the path to unparalleled greatness. In the blink of a geologic eye, Quadrumanus made a quantum leap forward. Quadrumanus magni was not physically very different from Quadrumanus rex. It maintained the same 2-legged ambulation, the same 4 arms ending in slashing claws, and those formidable dagger-like teeth. However, it managed to stand taller and larger than its ancestor, a feat that should have posed challenges for its 2-legged stance. Further study of its fossils revealed signs of intensive mana storage. This intriguing detail opens a window into a new dimension of its capabilities. This newfound adaptation might have marked the initial steps of its lineage's exploration of the once plentiful mana resources that suffused the ancient world. Details about how Quadrumanus magni utilized this mana remain a mystery. While mana would have helped reinforce its body, questions arise regarding more complex abilities. Could it breathe fire like its future draconian descendants? Given the relative size of its brain to its body, it's unlikely that it was capable of anything too complex. The outcomes may have been rather random and unpredictable. yet still advantageous enough to refine in the generations that followed. At last, our journey brings us to a significant juncture, a pivotal moment around 230 million years ago, marked by the emergence of the final common ancestor shared by the Draconia class, Proto-Draconia pyroraucus. Remarkably, this species had undergone some condensation, though it still dwarfed its much earlier predecessor, Quadrumanus rex, and was not as sleek and streamlined as its descendants, like dragons and wyverns. Proto-Draconia paired this slimmer physique with a second, more impressive adaptation, the transformation of its middle pair of appendages to fully developed membranous wings. But despite this wondrous transition, Proto-Draconia remained too hefty to take to the skies in a traditional sense. To overcome this challenge, it must have devised a means of utilizing mana to alleviate its weight and facilitate flight. Another intriguing aspect of Proto-Draconia's evolution lies in the fossils of its probable prey species. These remains display signs of breakage and degradation characteristic of intense heat exposure. This strongly suggests that Proto-Draconia had started to develop the remarkable ability for which later dragons would become renowned: fire breath. In the early stages of the Draconia class, we witness our first divergence. One path leads to the primitive dragons, reminiscent of the Proto-Draconia pyroraucus in terms of bulk. On the other path, the amphithere clade emerges. These agile flyers relinquish their arms and legs, retaining only their wings. Consider Amphithere velociraptus as a prime example. Much like most amphitheres, it effortlessly outpaces its slower relatives, the Draconidae, which would later evolve into drakes, wyverns, and full-fledged dragons. They appear to have inhabited forests and likely preyed upon the diminutive, tree-dwelling descendants of Cornubentus frontimanus. They readily switched between open-area flight and deftly navigating branches, offering them an edge when pursuing prey that sought refuge in the trees. It's even plausible that they might have retracted their wings during high-speed flight, enabling them to deftly traverse narrow gaps between trees. Although amphitheres superficially resemble the Quetzalcoatlform's order, they actually serve as the ancestors of both worms and sea serpents. One can't help but wonder if worms ever cast envious gazes upward at the wyverns, reminiscing about the era when they shared the same skies. The Draconidae diverged into two branches. One lineage meticulously refined their physical forms, maintaining their dominion over the skies. Meanwhile, the other branch clung to their robust stature, as their wings diminished into vestiges of their aerial heritage. Dracothera primitivus, a resident of the profound canyons within ancient Badlands, sported relatively diminutive wings, primarily to maintain equilibrium while navigating the steep, rocky slopes. As the generations passed, Dracothera's descendants discarded their atrophied wings altogether, which cemented their connection to solid ground. However, this trade-off enabled them to channel their mana solely into fortifying their bodies. They burgeoned in size, strength, and resilience, developing a formidable resistance against the elements. This adaptation allowed them to flourish in environments deemed inhospitable to other life forms. Although it remains uncertain whether they retained Proto-Draconia's fire-breathing capability, the absence of telltale fire damage on drake fossils, unlike the frequent signs found on other dragon prey, suggests an intensified focus on fire immunity. The remaining flyers underwent a transformation and evolved into sleeker, more graceful forms, bearing a resemblance to the true dragons before eventually splitting once more. In this division, one group embarked on the path to full dragonhood, while the other embarked on a different journey, opting to shrink their arms in the relentless pursuit of speed. Dracomanius alatus, in particular, showcased this transformation vividly. Its wings expanded as its arms receded, creating an almost inverse relationship, as if the growth of its wings drew away the vitality from its dwindling front limbs. Simultaneously, its hind legs became more slender, reflecting their reduced role in walking while ensuring that their talons remained sharp. These talons likely played a pivotal role in their hunting strategy, potentially being deployed for dive-bombing assaults on smaller prey. As generations passed, this lineage eventually relinquished their arms entirely, giving rise to the wyverns, who blended the strength inherent to dragons with a newfound swiftness and agility. While they might have been outmatched in sheer size, the wyverns' exceptional speed rendered them elusive prey, as they could easily outpace their larger relatives. With the emergence of the supreme aerial rulers, the Amphitheridae faced the inevitability of further transformation. Constrained to the earth once more, they embarked on yet another metamorphosis. Stripped of their wings this time, they evolved into massive horned serpents. Freed from the need to allocate mana for flight or fire, they channeled it into augmenting their size and strength. Through this adaptation, they attained substantial dimensions and formidable power, equipping them to prey upon drakes. Unable to reign over the skies any longer, great serpents like Amphiserpentis titanica found their new realm in the terrestrial domain. Nonetheless, the ongoing rivalry with the dragons persisted. In the face of the ceaseless aerial assault, the great serpents exhibited their characteristic adaptability yet again. Some of their kind discovered ways to manipulate the earth through the art of mana, plunging into the soft ground to emerge as worms. Others opted for a different strategy, seeking refuge from the dragon's fiery breath by retreating into the waters. After generations of hiding below the waves, their bodies adjusted to the aquatic environment, gradually shaping them into sea serpents.